Alrighty. Another tier 8 waiting for us. Complete this delve. So, what am I going to ramble about this time? Let's keep the plant theme going. And we will have a quick discussion about why natives might not be as good as you think they are. And why they may actually be kind of, well, detrimental is not the right word, but they're not going to be the slam dunk that you might feel they should be. I'll save them. Okay. So, lately it feels like there's this huge push, absolutely enormous push in the nursery industry where it's all natives all the time. You know, oh, you want to do anything, you should plant natives. You shouldn't plant anything else. That's a stretch, but pretty much just plant natives as much as you can. That otherwise you're not helping pollinators, that, you know, otherwise maybe you're putting in invasive species, you know, like all sorts of stuff. And it gets a little weird. And the thing is that natives are not always the best option for you to be planting. And the reason I say this is because for many places, native isn't quite native anymore. I mean, you've got irrigation, you've got climate change certainly, you've got... Oh, you've got just the general way that the land has changed. In many cases, people have brought in topsoil. They have changed the consistency of what the land is so that it is no longer what it was. You know, because a lot of people don't want to try and grow stuff in a bunch of hard, crazy clay. So they end up bringing in tons of topsoil. You know, you end up putting in your irrigation. You will have shade in places that have not had shade before.
Can't catch up. Make haste.
Very good. Alrighty.
Need any gold? Should I even ask?
Yeah. So we humans go out of our way to change our environment and change it pretty significantly. Where I live, there is this, significant environmental change due to the Bureau of Reclamation. I literally live in a place that would otherwise be at the bottom of a shallow wetlands.
Time to sleep.
So, it's hard for me to suggest natives when, what would be native, at least in my opinion, are going to be things like Locust, which is a pond lily. It's going to be, cattails and grasses and rushes that just probably aren't going to do super great because, we're not a wetlands anymore. In fact, given drought and stuff,
No
we're
more.
it's hard to tell exactly what we are these days. Okay.
Now strike.
Get them all together. Wait. God, that's such a fun ability.
I don't think so.
Like, who after hitting, that big hammer thought like, oh yeah, I'm just gonna put out sunbeams everywhere. Like, crazy.
Be quiet.
So, yeah, the other thing is that large portions of the country are incredibly microclimatized. And you can go within, anywhere from 10 to 15 miles, sometimes even less, depending on elevation. And you'll find that you have a completely different bioregion. You have, possibly several thousand feet in elevation. So you will go from having a frost state to not really having a frost state. You will run into stuff that can take full sun, no longer being able to, just because the changes in humidity and the thickness of the air. You will run into
I don't have a target. Speak no more.
Oh, you will have stuff that, has been in pine forest and just needs a lot more acidity. You will have stuff that is, undergrowth plants that just will not do great because guess what? There's nothing providing the amount of shade and moisture trapping that they really need. And the other thing is that quite often people have this idea of like, oh, well, if I just plant natives, then I won't need to irrigate, or it's going to be this huge slam dunk. And the problems with that is that a lot of the stuff is most definitely not going to be a slam dunk just because it's going to need years possibly to get established. Oh, this will be fun. As well as, things that are planted in unirrigated spaces typically take, I want to say 3 to 5 years to survive, get established. They also have a tendency to just die. In general, if you can get over a 10% survival rate, that is considered fantastic for native plants. Well, not even natives, but unirrigated plants. Stuff that you just throw out there to, see how it goes.
I don't think so.
The ritual must be complete.
I don't think so.
So yeah, to really kind of hammer it down a little bit better, the problems in general are that you may not know what is actually native. What is native may be something that is no longer really suited for that particular area. And
Too quick to counter.
I don't have a target.
now I gotta wait 15 seconds. And what you think of as native may not work out super well for you. You know, in Portland, Oregon, there are plenty of nurseries that will suggest a lot of very great plants, just absolutely wonderful plants that are
Safety.
unfortunately not going to be what I would consider wonderful natives for the bioregion that they're in. Hey, it's my soul. Let's throw a quick heal on myself. A little heal on myself. I'm being flayed. Another salt.
Now strike.
Yay, team. And that isn't to say that you shouldn't try to go out of your way to plant natives. They've got a billion versions of milkweed out there, and they're all hardy for butterflies. Um, there's all sorts of stuff that, you know, for our particular region, well, my particular region, they've got a billion types of yarrows. They survive on their own.
For a
Russian sage
moment.
is great. And really, you need to pick why you're planting what you plant. So pick your goal first and then, plant according to that goal. Because if your goal happens to be, yeah, yeah, I'll take that. I think the other one might be better. Briar helm, cool. Take that. Yeah, if your goal happens to be just having water-wise plants, not even native, just water-wise, meaning stuff that is going to survive really well with low to no water, then natives may not be what you're looking for. Instead, you might want to go with some stuff that's going to be a little more open-ended. God, it's the horrible trinket. Ooh, no, can get those on tier 11. Oh, got decor. If your goal is stuff specifically native because you want native, then by all means go for specifically native plants and native plants alone. Just recognize that they're not going to be as good as you want. Your selection is probably not going to include as many colors as you want. And oh dear, I didn't take out more of his minions. Well, something to keep in mind for next time. Oh man. And that the quality might not be what you want. Natives are very particular about their growing, doubly so when you're dealing with trees. There's a lot of them they just don't like to be transplanted. Manzanita is infamous for it. Uh, a lot of juniper, like I don't think you can really find much in the way of western juniper. Lord knows I haven't been able to. I need to check a little deeper. But a lot of things require a very strong deep taproot that really wants to go down, and most nursery pots are not really made for that. And beyond that too, it means that the plant has a very specific shelf life to it, and if you exceed that particular shelf life, then the plant is not going to survive super well, or it's not going to transplant super well, and it'll probably die in the pot just because the root is going to hit the bottom of the pot and then start curling around itself and then upwards, and the plant just dies. It's not great. So plant natives if you like, but also keep in mind your color schemes, what you want, what your ultimate goals are for the area, and once you have all that done, rather than going with purely native, try instead to weave natives in with the other items that you want. And always remember that natives are not a slam dunk. It's not just always going to do great wherever it's at. Just because, wait, just because, if natives were fine and outcompeted everything, then invasives wouldn't be a thing. Oh, apparently the dogs hear something. But since, you know, invasives are a thing, since extra weeds come in that are not the type that grew there naturally and normally, natives can get outcompeted. And they oftentimes do not just throw some seed down and it all comes in perfectly. So pick exactly what you're looking for and weave things together because natives have, you know, a great place in any garden and you should never be put off from putting them in. But don't expect to put in just natives and receive the breadth of color, size, shapes, and everything else that you would get if you went with a more varied garden, including things that have been acclimatized and regionalized and picked for your area. Alrighty, that's enough whining from me. Y'all have a good day.